Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. For those of you that are new, my name's Janice and I'm a Thermomix consultant. Today we're doing the condensed milk biscuits. Now, the recipe, I've been making this for years and the recipe was always, I've got to think about this, half a kilo of butter, so it was just like, it was a no whey recipe, so you just used a 500 gram block of butter, 1 cup of sugar, 1 can of condensed milk, a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla, and 5 cups of plain flour. Then once you had that, that made like 12 dozen biscuits. Once you had that, you could split it up into smaller pieces and then make it into, like, jam drops. You can mix chocolate chips into this one, whatever, you can mix cornflakes into this one, and then you would bake them and have a whole heap of different biscuits from one batch. But I'm going to do it in the Thermomix today. Now, I've been on the recipe community and most of the recipes there only are small batches. So I'm going to be brave. I've worked out I can't see why the whole batch can't fit in my Thermomix. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and this is all going to go pear-shaped, but I'm going to give it a go. So I've got my recipe and I've written it out and I've scribbled all over this piece of paper, just going through recipes on Cookie-Doo to see how they put it together, because obviously I don't want to use the butterfly to cream the butter and sugar, because I don't think the butter and sugar really needs to be creamed, fluffy and airy. Right, what we're going to do to start off with is we're going to make the condensed milk. So I've got it saved into my week and it's right there. Now this recipe makes the equivalent of 1 can of condensed milk. Usually when I make this, I double the recipe. But today I'm just going to make the single can of condensed milk because that's all I want. And I'm going to put it into this jug and then we'll set it aside to cool. Then I'll come back to make the biscuits in a bit. So let's make the condensed milk first. So we'll take the lid off this. Okay, and then we're going to press start. So it says to set aside sterilise sealable jars. So I usually make a double batch and store it in a container I've got that fits too, and then just keep it in the fridge. Especially I make a lot of it at Christmas time when I'm doing all my Christmas baking. Throughout the year, if I'm making things that only need 1 can, I just do an individual batch like I'm doing today. But when the majority of the time that I'm making it is when I'm doing my Christmas cooking. So we want 40 grams of unsalted butter. So I've just got a little piece here. Oh, look at that, 40 grams, how was that? And then 125 grams of water. I always look at how high I'm pouring from and work and try and remember that I'm going to have, I don't know how to describe it, I always say working out how much you've got in the air. Like how much, when you stop pouring, how much is still in the air, not actually being weighed yet. So, and I do really love getting the weights right when when getting them perfect. I mean, that just gives me a lot of joy. I mean, I know small things, but now we're going to heat it for 3 minutes at 120 degrees on speed 2. Okay. So now we're going to add raw sugar. Now it says raw sugar and you can use white sugar, but I love the flavour the raw sugar gives it. It gives it a more caramelised-y condensed milk flavour. Whereas, you know, white sugar, I don't know, it's just a bit more of an earthy flavour. So we want 180 grams. Another 5 grams. Oops. There it is. Okay. $110 grams of milk powder. So let's see. Okay, tear. I've got something touching somewhere. Okay. Let's see if I can get it right. I need to get back into the habit of weighing things out. Before I do my videos. Because I find it's a bit more, the videos, when you're editing, the video flows a bit better. So now we want a pinch of salt. Yes, next. And now we're going to blend this 30 seconds, speed 10, or until smooth. Now, you can repeat that if you like. I was just checking in the recipe to see if that it had been made available to do that if you needed to. So, but I think that is absolutely perfect. So now what I'm going to do now, so what does it say next? Scrape sides and bottom a bowl with the spatula and then pour into, and that's what I already did. I made sure there was no bits of sugar stuck to the bottom, but there shouldn't be, but yeah, just making sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'll finish scraping this bowl out. I'm not going to wash it up because we're going to do the biscuits in it and it's going to have the condensed milk in. So what I'm going to do is give it a really good scraping into this jug, and then once this is cool, it is cool, but I don't want it so it's melting the butter. I don't want it so it's still warm. Rightio, and this is still warm too, so I'm going to let everything cool down and then I'll come back and we'll continue on with making the biscuits. So I've let that cool for 30 minutes. It's still slightly warm, but you can see how nice and thick it is. And now we're going to go on to making the biscuits. So we're going to start off with 500 grams of butter. So that's my, it's still got some condensed milk in it. So I'm going to chop this up into smaller pieces, and this is one of the things we always loved about this recipe, is the fact that it was something you didn't really need scales for. It was and now we know this is a 500 gram block of butter, but I've just turned the scales on to show you that you can. So here on your manual mode screen, you've got a little set of scales, and if you press them, press that, then you can see the weight. Now, I've had this butter sitting on the bench, coming to room temperature. We still are in winter, but, it's spring, but we've had a few cold days recently. So, like in the middle of summer, you definitely wouldn't leave your butter sitting on the bench for half the day, because it would just be a puddle of liquid. Rightio. Might leave that there, and I'll use that to grease my bread tin. I'll fold it up and put it in the fridge. Then tomorrow when I'm making bread, I'll grease it with that. And that's 491 grams. Then we want 1 cup of sugar. So I've just got white sugar, now you don't have to put, you could probably get away with like 3/4 of a cup of sugar if you wanted to reduce the sugar a little bit. Rightio. And now I've decided that I need to do 30 seconds, speed 4. And I'm going to do that a few times. I'll do it twice and see if I like what it looks like before I do it again. And then I'm going to add some vanilla. So I'm going to do it again, because I don't know if you can see, the bottom is started to mix together, but the top is still clumpy. So if I give it pull it up off the bottom and put the bigger lumps on the hard lumps on the bottom, bring the creamed mixture off the bottom and replace it with the harder lumps. We'll do that again. "30 seconds, speed 4. And go. Now I'm going to add the vanilla. I'll give it another scrape and add the vanilla, and then do that a third time before I add the condensed milk. Yeah. So it's still got a few tiny chunks in it. I'll do it for the 30 seconds. Okay. So we've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. "30 seconds, speed 4. I mean, if you wanted to make this recipe, you can obviously mix it for as long as you like. When we used to make it, we used to beat the butter and sugar until it was quite soft and fluffy. But I don't know that that was necessary. So if you want, like if you want a doughy biscuit, then you barely mix it at all. But if you want a crunchy biscuit, then I think you do have to beat it a bit. Okay, so now we're going to add the condensed milk. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do 30 seconds, speed 4. I will say that this new spatula is actually quite good compared to the one we had for the TM5 and the TM6. So 30 seconds, speed 4, go. And then we're just going to add the flour, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to knead it in with using the dough mode. And it's 5 cups of flour. Now I don't know, I haven't gone to the trouble of weighing how much everything weighs. I mean, I feel this is something that you don't really need a recipe for, because it's, well, as I said, it's a can of condensed milk, a tub of margarine or butter, a cup of sugar, and then 5 cups of flour. Not quite mixed through, but I'm going to. It's just a little bit sitting on the top. Oh, look at that. Yum. It smells delicious too. Now I'm going to, when I add the, oh yes I have still got the, I'm just praying that the 5 cups of flour is going to fit in here. But I think it should. Oh yeah. So it's 5 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. So let's do 5. 1. 2. 3. And if this doesn't fit, all is not lost. I'm just going to tip it into a big bowl, into a big mixing bowl, and mix it by hand. Okay? I want that. Teaspoon of salt. Whoa, that's my glass jug that I'm tipping over there. Lid on, and we're going to knead it for 30 seconds. So we'll go back here, we'll find the dough mode in our modes, then we'll do it for 2 minutes. And I'll see what that looks like. So I don't know if I said this. This is a trial for me. I've never made this in the Thermomix before. because it seemed like an awful lot of dough, but we'll see how we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make I was going to make jam drops, and I had like this much jam in my bottle. So I'm going to make that up into jam drops. Then I've also bought some, I couldn't get Freckles. You know, the brand name chocolate drops dipped in hundreds and thousands. So I bought a generic brand, and they're not nearly as nice, but I'm going to put them on. And then I was talking to my sister a couple of weeks ago, and she said when she had her grandson over, they were cooking, and he wanted jam drops using Nutella. So and she said they were really nice. So I'm going to do some with Nutella as well. And then I'll make a couple of trays, and then I'm going to freeze the rest of the dough. You don't need to make it all up at once. This one freezes really well, and it is a massive batch of dough. So, and that's what I said, it used to make like 12 dozen like little biscuits, not your big ones, just your little ones. It used to make around 12 dozen. And so we loved it, especially for when we did distance education. It was like mini schools or playgroup or all that, where you could take a big container of biscuits. So let's have a look and see what that looks like. Didn't move much, but I don't know what it's done on the bottom. I'll just get some flour down there. Righto, we'll give that another 30 seconds. Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know, did I do 30 seconds or do I do 2 minutes? I can't remember. I'm doing 30 seconds now. 30 seconds is what I've got written on my piece of paper. I don't know what I did. I'll have to check the video out when I edit it. So those of you that have been watching, that watch my videos, you know that I've been having a little bit of camera trouble lately. So what I've actually done was, I was looking at buying a camera, but what I've actually done is ordered a new iPad, one that's got a slightly bigger memory, because I do think that it's a memory problem, not a not a fault with the iPad. Just doesn't have enough memory, which is why it just stops videoing, and it looks like it's still videoing, but when I go to edit the videos, they're just not there. Sometimes they'll, save a little bit in my cloud storage, but I lose big chunks of videos, so making a big mess. Another 30 seconds. Go. Oh, that sounds different. So. And what I'm going to do is at the end of this 30 seconds, I'll see what it looks like. And if it's not quite mixed, I'll stop the video, and then when I come back, I'll tell you how many times I had to do the 30 seconds before it was all mixed. I think that is looking better. Rightio, so I'll put this back on and I'll come back and I'll tell you how many times I had to do it for 30 seconds. Okay, so that was just one more time. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to transfer it into a mixing bowl, and I'm going to pop it in the fridge just to chill a little bit, because it's quite a soft dough and it won't roll real well. So, but I find if you let it chill for half an hour or so, it firms up and it's a lot easier to handle. It's not quite so sticky. So I'll be back when I'm ready to roll this into balls. Okay, so I've had this chill in the fridge, and I'll just show you that this, you know, it was quite sticky before. Now it's quite easy to handle. So I'm just going to do a couple of trays full, then the rest I'm still going to roll it into balls and everything, but I'm going to freeze them to bake at a later date, because I quite like just being able to pull the little balls of dough out of the freezer and bake them. If I want to, like, I'll get a little these and I'll pull them out of the freezer, the dough ball, and I might roll them in cinnamon sugar and then flatten them. Or I might, I defrost them a little bit, might poke a hole in them and make them into a jam drop. Or you can just roll them in sugar. If you want to add anything to them, like chocolate chips, you've got to do that before you freeze the little dough balls. And the other thing you can do is add your, whatever you're going to add in, then roll it into a log and freeze that. And you can pull that out and slice it into rounds and bake them. So rightio, so I'm going to do, oops. My dad used to call these finger hole tarts. So, I mean, in the recipe books they used to say to make the hole with the back of a spoon. But I must admit, Mum always just used her finger, so I always have two. Okay, so I'm going to do like these ones are freckles. Then I've got some jam. That's what I said, I've got that much jam. I'll use all that jam up in these. And then this one is Nutella. So I haven't done Nutella ones before. Probably what I should have done was put some Nutella in a piping bag, because that's quite sticky. Okay. So I'm not quite sure how this bakes. I mean, it bakes okay. Like if you put it in the middle of a, you know, like a, when you're making mini cakes, if you put a blob in the middle, put half in your patty pan case, if you put half your cake batter on the top, put a blob of Nutella and then the other half, and you put it in the oven, it bakes quite well there. So rightio, I'm going to pop these in the oven and we'll come back and have a look at when they're finished, and I might even have a taste of one. That's the first tray out of the oven. So they go from pale white to that brown in 1 minute. I checked them at 10 minutes, put it on for another one, because they were still white, and I put it on for another 1 minute, and that's what they look like. So they smell amazing. They're a bit hot to taste, but when I'm back, we'll come back and we might try the Nutella one. Rightio. One biscuit. We'll just, if this is cool now, I've left them for a bit. I'm going to break it in half. Oh, that's very good. There's enough biscuit there for it not to be too sweet. That is delicious. So I know I've got my iPad upside down because I'm looking in the wrong direction. My eyes are looking the other way. So, yum. I've actually decided to cook the whole lot because I'm going to have kids for tea tomorrow night. So I'm going to give them all a box of biscuits to take home. Rather than freezing some, I'm trying to empty my freezer, not fill it up at the moment. Because we're getting close to Christmas, so I'm going to start having Christmas hamper stuff in the freezer. And I don't want it full of stuff like this. Rightio. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, could you please give it a thumbs up? Pop over to my channel and subscribe. And I really hope I'll see you next time.